Hey, Dustin Tibbetts with Passport to Wall Street, and today we're going to talk about options in its most basic sense, just an introduction to what they are and how they work. You may notice that in some of our Trade of the Week videos or educational videos, we occasionally talk about options. They're getting more and more popular. So let's get started with the basics of options here. You're going to hear two terms very frequently. You're going to hear call and you're going to hear put. And those are the two types of options. Now you could do a whole bunch of stuff with just these two positions or these two types of options. And so we want to kind of know what do they mean in their basic sense. Let's pretend you've got a stock that's moving like this, right? You look at the chart and this is what you see, okay? And it's your belief that the stock price is going to go higher. However, maybe like Apple or some other stocks right now, maybe the stock costs, say, $200 per share. That's a lot of money for some people to buy 10 shares, 50 shares, 100 shares. And in fact, a lot of the stock prices right now are pretty overpriced. And so you might say, well, I do believe the stock price is going higher, but I do not have $200 per share to make it worth my while. Or maybe you only think the stock is going to go from $200 to $202. Well, it doesn't make much sense to put up $200 per share only to get a return of what you think will be $2, and that's where the call comes in. By buying a call, as a call buyer, you get to participate in the move higher that you believe is going to happen, but you do not have to put up the $200 per share. You might put up, say, $1.25 per share. Now here's the deal. If you are correct and the price moves higher, then you should see some appreciation in the value of this option and you can turn around and sell it. If you are wrong, and let's say the stock price doesn't go higher but instead falls to $190, you wouldn't lose the $10. In this case, you'd only lose the option, what you paid for. So being a call buyer, what the definition is it gives you the right to buy shares at a fixed price here, let's say $200. That's known as the strike price, right? So you have the right to buy them at $200 no matter how high the price of the stock goes. Now most option traders will just take the profit. So as the stock price moves higher, so does the price of the call option, and most people would just take the profit, but you can also buy the stock at the lower price. We'll get into that a little bit later. Now let's say you're on the other side here. You look at the price of this stock and you say, I don't think it's going to go higher. I think it's going to go lower and I'd like to short it. You're familiar with shorting. So let's say that you think the stock price is going to go to $195 or maybe even lower, and your belief is that sometime soon it will do that. As a put buyer, right, this is where it gets a little confusing, you could buy a put, and for every move the stock price has to the downside, the value of your put would increase in value. So let's say you paid $1.25 for it. As the stock price goes down, your put option value should go up. So a little confusing there. If you're not familiar with shorting stocks, this is where it can get a little complicated. But just know that by buying a call, you essentially believe the stock price will go up. By buying a put, you believe that the stock price will go down. You can also be the seller of either option, which maybe we'll get to in a different video, but for the most part, that is the basics of options, where you're using less capital for the same decision, or assumption I should say, that you might have when it comes to a stock price. So many cool ways that you can do this, and we'll certainly expand on this as far as using combinations or what's known as spreads. We'll touch on that in another video. I hope you enjoyed.